And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back 7 times again to the Greenhouse podcast, where it's new year, same old us, but a new season of the Greenhouse. I am once again joined by my fabulous special co-host, Taylor. Taylor, how are you?
I'm doing well, ready for another greenhouse season. And yeah, new year, same us. We're ready to talk our shit.
And as our special guest in the chat
Shut
always
up.
said, Edmund is here. New year, Edmund decided that he should show up to the podcast, his gig. He, I think, finally realized if he doesn't show up to the gig, he doesn't get paid. So, Edmund, how are you?
Baby, I got bands, okay? And I'm the one that pays and signs your paycheck. So check it, clock it. Anyways, I'm doing great. There is a frozen snowstorm tundra in Nashville right now, feeling snowed in and chilly. And I'm ready to talk about the greenhouse because it's definitely not green here right now.
So before we bring on our guest this week, can you please talk about the Reddit rumors of you hating Dilemma? Since we didn't hear your opinion all season long.
What's funny is I did not hate Dilemma. I was trying to be a booking agent and the talent did not follow through. So unfortunately, we had to cancel the finale and it could not be rescheduled for a further time.
Was that
Ooh.
the only one that you were going to show up to?
I did show up to the Dilemma podcast.
One of three. Anyways, we have an extra special guest this week.
It was going to be 2 of 4.
It's just family tonight, and by family, I mean this is the close relative of like 8 down, 8th cousin. Don't know her. She just shows up to the function. Maddie Ice.
That was kind of rotted.
How are you?
I was better 2 seconds ago. Didn't realize I was the 8th cousin of removed marriage that you barely made it into this family. So great. Happy to be back. Unlike Edmund, I did show up to the Dilemma podcast, so I'm just happy to be back as a fiercely invited guest.
Yes. So why don't we go ahead and just jump right into it? We have a lot to talk about and very little time because we all, even the viewers, I know, have a time crunch for a show to watch after this. So we have 14 fresh faces in the Greenhouse community coming together in a new house this season to play the same fierce game. How do we feel about her?
Very fierce.
No, we love a change of scenery. I feel like we've got in the same house for a bit, and there are obvious differences from house to house. So it's just going to kind of be exciting how people use like a smaller location to their advantage, and if it hurts them, see if we get some more drama from it.
Yes, we got a little taste of the house and Dilemma, a little teaser, if you will, for what was to come.
Some
for
of
this
us
special
definitely
season.
did. Okay, I'm done.
And
That's it.
you know, as some of the Dilemma players have said, it is tighter quarters, so there's less places to talk, more places to snoop. So hopefully we'll see, based on how some of these people are acting, if they're going to be doing some snooping and trying to figure out information they're not supposed to know.
For sure.
So we're getting to know all the players right off the bat, their little intros, their little things that they filmed beforehand. And the one that stuck out to me the most was Connor and his opening confessional, where he said that he's going to walk on all the bodies to get the win. A little aggressive for the greenhouse. We're all about flowers and life and having fun. How do we feel about some of the intros that we saw? Who stood out to you?
Do you think Connor's going to walk on his head up the dead bodies?
If he
didn't
didn't
have the clip to add that
I was going to say we
showed
should have
up
just had
80
her
times in the episode.
I have to say, sorry, because there's been 3 episodes. Y'all need to take a shot every time it's my friend from law school. 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 And I'm like, y'all have a small vocabulary for lawyers.
Edmund said, skip the intros. I'm going to trip over my own words.
I don't know if I remember confessionals. I just remember everyone's like 6 seconds of natural movement, and not one of them was natural movement. But I think it made it funnier that like everyone was like, huh, what do I do? Like it was funny and cute to add. That's what I remember most. I feel like a couple people that I knew beforehand stuck out, obviously, because I know them, like Stephanie, and I know like of Taylor. So those are just a couple people, but I have some new stands already. So excited to see as their game develops, which kind of saw more by episode 3. But episode 1, I feel like you're still trying to feel everyone out.
I think someone else that stood out to me was Mackenzie. She said that she doesn't need strategy. She doesn't need seeds. Mama, she has her personality. And I absolutely loved that, coupled with the fact that we were also, I don't know who came first, it was shortly revealed to us that there's a couple in the game. Greenhouse
Something
does
you're
have
familiar
its
with.
history of having its lovers in the game. How do we feel about this?
I love the parallels to Greenhouse 6, you know, the lawyers and the couples. It's giving very, this season will be as crazy as the last. Because one thing about a couple, they're going to cause some drama. And one thing about a lawyer, they're going to act a fool.
That sounds something like something new.
I like the idea that this is kind of a secret couple, to where the couple before a few people knew about, so it was just bound to get out, to where I feel like they're going to like keep this more of a secret unless they really need to use it in the game somehow. So I'm excited to see that dynamic play out.
I agree. I thought it was, well, this is kind of later on. Maybe I'll recall to this moment, but I agree. I think this couple is going to go a little more under the radar and not going to like tell everybody right away, and people may not know about them already. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about that dynamic with, I guess, the smaller house. I haven't been to either, so I'm just going off of what y'all said, not trying to comfort Taylor's house. Oh my God.
Wow, Maddie, wow.
I said I wasn't going there. No, I think we'll see if they can keep it under wraps unless someone's snooping around and catching them.
I feel like it's going to be hard for Connor to stay under the radar, but
yeah.
The only thing staying under the radar for Connor is his head when he was doing headstands. But moving on, we kind of jump right into a greenhouse challenge. It's not really a challenge. Taylor Luke says to go to the Holly meet and greet, which I would be first in line. I'm Holly's biggest fan. I will wait in line for days to go meet Holly. But you had to partner up with someone. What were your initial reactions to the partners? Because I personally thought that they were going to be duos this first round, and that whoever you picked was your duo for the round.
Yeah, when the cast was first released, just pictures, I thought it was just efficiency, that they were getting some cute pics with Holly. I didn't really read into it much. But then as I got done the episode, I was like, this is definitely something. I thought that they could be duos round 1. I definitely thought it had something to do with the game, but the twist that was not what I was expecting.
Same. I don't know that I had an idea. I was just like, this is like odd. And for a seed hunt to just like have to be like, hey, click, like I was like something else. So kind of just waited to see what would come of that. Interesting twist. Not something I would have thought of, I don't think. And it makes sense that is like, they called it a seed hunt because whenever your partner goes out, that's when you get the seeds. So some fun little clues there that I definitely did not pick up.
I like that it's a new iteration of the target twist that he's done before, just in a different way. Also, you're not really outwardly picking your target. It's kind of like a thing of chance that you didn't really know. So it makes the dynamic more interesting, because I feel like you may see people who are going to try and protect each other for a while, and then you're going to see others, kind of like Stephanie did, to where she's kind of like, maybe Daniel going isn't the worst thing for me. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead.
Yeah, because I think that's the beauty of it is like no one had to take the picture from what Taylor's told me. But if you're enticed with the seed, not knowing what it means, why would you not take a picture? And I highly doubt that anyone really knew what was going on. So, I mean, at least for me, I probably would have grabbed someone I was talking to, which is what I think what happens, which adds another cute twist is Taylor said, "Oh, you don't want to be shady? You're going to have to be."
I love how like immediately everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely not gonna go for you." But like in the back of my mind, I would always be like, "Okay," but like eventually they're gonna want to come for me for those seeds. So like I'm gonna have to strike beforehand.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel about this first greenhouse challenge after they do the little meet and greet?
I loved it.
I thought it was cute, probably because I did well playing along at home. I only missed one.
Girl, you did better than some of them in the house.
I don't want to say because I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I'll tell you off screen.
Say their name. Say their name.
But no, I thought it was cute. It's like I think in the moment I probably would have done terrible because I'd have been like, "What stupid fun fact am I about to say?" Like I would have not been listening to anybody. So probably in the moment would have been really bad. But I thought it was cute. Fun way to kind of like get to know people. It was 8-bit Dylan.
That his voice was really high. I think that's what it was.
Really low.
I'm kidding.
No, I think it was whoever plays video games. I'm so sorry. I just blinked. So still don't remember it. But I think fill in the blank was a lot easier. If it was like, oh, what's so-and-so's fun fact? I would have 0. Like, would have been so bad. I also thought it was interesting how you could opt in for seeds to like lower your score. I thought that was really cute, which I definitely would have done because I don't think I would have wanted like greenhouse right away.
If anyone on this call says that they wouldn't have went for seeds, you'd be lying because I know you all well enough that we all would have went for seeds.
Sure.
Even starting with 0, girl, seed. Thank you.
Right. Because I don't know, like unless you're just so sure you're gonna win and be able to have the choice of what greenhouse you want and that safety, I don't really see the benefit to it. Not only are you gonna potentially put a target on your back if you're in nominating power, but you're also kind of showing your challenge skills right away, like ability to recall. Like it's just, I don't know, it's a little bit scary, but I don't know. I thought the challenge was cute. Let's give props to Taylor for having a play along game. I've never seen that before. We got a little taste of it in Dilemma, and I'm sure he's only going to keep doing it. So,
Taylor, you kind of brought it up. I was going to bring it up. Do you think this will put a target on any of their backs since basically they were super attentive to these personal details about everyone and remembered them all? Say for someone like Stephanie, who, does she have a perfect score?
yes. I think at first I was a little bit hesitant about Stephanie's approach to like tell people how she felt about it. But if you really do think you got all of them right and you didn't take the seeds and it's going to be revealed, so she knew she had a good chance of getting first, I think it was right for her to kind of be like, oh, I think I did well. Because if she like was trying to be a little shady about it and won, it would have looked different. But yes, I do think it could put a little target on their back. I don't know. But the fact that it was also fill in the blank, I think she could like maneuver this one a little bit better.
Plus, if you have a perfect score, then you can also use that as like, well, I don't have any extra seeds,
That's true.
as a way to like supplement for doing super well in a challenge like that.
So we saw Kai, Trinity, and Stephanie win the challenge. How do we feel about the first 3 challenge winners and the first 3 to enter the greenhouse?
Let's go, women.
Yeah, come on, ladies.
I know Taylor has said that this has only happened one other time, and I think it was All Stars 2, but this is the first time that all 3 women have won the first greenhouse challenge. So got to give them their props. It turned into a clusterfuck immediately. Like, let's all just be honest about that because they were all like, let's go, women. But we did see like some tensions in there.
Yeah, I loved that immediately people are like, do you want to nominate your duo? Who's going to nominate your duo? Like, who wants to nominate? I don't want to nominate. Don't force me to nominate, even though you're not number one. Like, I'm sorry. I love when the third placer loves to try and snatch their way into getting the tulip or the rose. Baby, take the sunflower and just go. It's okay. Especially round one. Just take the L.
That was really interesting
Yeah.
to me more than anything. The whole like who's picking what flower dynamic. And Kai was not messing around. She was like, "You're gonna steal both of them from me." Like, and I don't know, probably not the approach I would have had, but it was definitely fun to watch. I think it is just a little more of her play style, which we'll see how it works. But I was like kind of shocked. Like, yes, you're picking first, but you don't have like the say. Like, I don't know. I would have just been like, what do y'all want? I'll obviously take what's left. I'm just happy to have the safety woo go team. And she was like, she's like still mad about it, probably.
How do you guys feel about Trinity?
Just in the greenhouse interaction, or just in general?
Overall, I guess.
I feel like you're Gia Gunna showing.
I'm just asking. I feel like she had a lot of airtime. Well, obviously, because she was in the greenhouse. I felt like she was very much kind of the mouth for things, but not really like actively trying to flip things, you know?
I don't know.
Like,
I feel like
it wasn't her strategy to actively try and flip things because of what she was hearing. I think she was just kind of yapping a lot,
I feel like kind of the opposite. I feel like she yapped a lot in the greenhouse to like flower picking, and I feel like for the vast majority of strategy, other than like to the other greenhouse people, I did not see her yap. And then like this past episode, like the last like 20 minutes, I saw her yap, but the hour and a half between them, I did not feel like I saw her. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, you're making a nomination, you're making a little enemy, cool. And then like hiding. I don't know. I feel like for me, she would just like jump in a conversation and then just like sit. And if you have a target, like you should push it. And I feel like she didn't.
I don't know if I remember. Is this her first game of any sort?
I think so.
Okay. I felt like she was just kind of like talking out loud to try to like figure her own shit out and like try to be a part of the game, but didn't come at it from like a veteran's point of view. I don't know. Yeah, I think she's just like, I don't really play these games. I'm trying, like, she was like, I'm trying to come up with a strategy to vote somebody. Like, she's talking out loud and she's figuring it out loud.
I thought it was so funny.
I feel like to us, we just don't feel that way at this point. So it's just a different perspective.
Yeah, I forgot who was in the room with her, but she's like, he just told me a strategy from Survivor. And
yeah, like
there's a group of three that all know each other. It was very cute and like innocent.
Yeah, she's growing on me because like you can see her wheels are turning, but I can confidently say I would have never wanted to play with her in this game just because she is so new and is like, we got to get other people to do the challenge. Like, she's just so like forthcoming with her thoughts, which is great. But round one, it's like, like I would be so nervous to tell her anything at this point. But I do think she's like sitting pretty well.
Wasn't she the one that said, well, if we don't know who to target, should we just target whoever got fourth in the challenge?
Yeah,
that's kind of wild to me.
Was like,
I was like, y'all three just won. Like,
do your big one.
Please,
do your big one.
Please make it make sense.
I think because she's just like, I don't know how these things work. What do people go off of? And I think she genuinely doesn't want to just like throw up a random person. I think she would genuinely feel bad. She like wants some sort of reason that like logically makes sense. So she's like, whoever did fourth, like they're good. Maybe that's a good target to go home. Like she's saying this thought process out loud.
Right. There's something I was gonna say and I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, and she did mention nominating JP, which is crazy, but also I think like it could have potentially worked for round one because if everyone was like, oh, I don't know what to go off of, like she could have been like, it was kind of like an innocent thought.
Yeah.
But it does kind of start the movement like, okay, I really got to watch my back. But yeah, I have more thoughts on that when they talk, but we can get to it. And Trinity's laugh is contagious. It makes me laugh every time. Very side thought.
So we move into the seed and immunity challenge now. Taylor, Connor, Louie, and JP go for immunity, and Cody, Courtney, Daniel, Dylan, Aaron, Mackenzie, and Seth go for seeds. Before we talk about the challenge, a quick note I would like to add, because it kind of got like thrown in, I think right after the challenge, but it's good to talk about before, was Trinity kikiing with Stephanie about how quickly JP threw up his hand to go for immunity. Because that kind of touches on your little point, Taylor, of talking about who, like JP and her talking. I guess if you were in JP's spot and you're duo one and it's round one, would you also be fighting so hard for immunity?
Yeah. I honestly like. I do think seeds are important. But round one for me personally, I pretty much will always go for the immunity. You really first rounds, you just don't know what's going on, especially with a lot of new players. And I don't want anyone thinking I'm feeling safe round one. Like in all honesty, like it just like I can say, hey, like I just want the immunity, whatever. But I do think in JP's position, like it wasn't a bad move to like shoot his hand up immediately. Just, like he has kind of a right to be scared at this point. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else really caught it though. Do you think?
I thought it was a little fast. It was like, it was crazy.
Like when being read into.
Well, I think Trinity noticed. I don't know if she noticed it or said something about it. I don't remember, but like, she's probably watching him because she thought about nominating him for that reason, and then him being like, "Oh my God, I have to go for it." You can already see this like partner seed hunt playing into the paranoia of like, I don't really want to go for them, but they automatically have some sort of incentive to come after me. So like you're already sizing each other up of like, I already have somebody who like has a reason to want me out of this game, even though it's like, a couple seeds, whatever. But like, I don't know. So I think they're going to overlook it. They're going to analyze it and read into it. It was just kind of funny, but I guess to answer the question, I probably would have gone for immunity too. Whoever it was, my own mother could have won. I would have went for immunity. Like first round, you just want a little bit of safety to get your footing, and if you can guarantee to not be like the first boot and playing from the bottom, to me, it's always a smart idea.
Baby, one thing about me, I'm always going for that immunity. Season 3, it was no question. I'm stepping this way to compete for immunity. I didn't compete in one single seed challenge. I don't care. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I think that kind of got you though, did it not?
Oh!
Is that not what got you at the end?
Baby, rewatch the season.
Oh.
Because I flushed all my seeds for our winner, Shakira. Thank you.
She didn't need you to do that, but thank you for your service, I guess. So the seed and immunity challenge. I really liked it. It's something I have not seen a game do before. There's hello in 21 different languages. I guess in 2 ways or something. I don't know, because they were asked in a certain way. And you would go outside to Mother Holly, and she would ask you a quiz of 5 how to say hellos. And the first person to get all 5 in a row correct wins for each thing. How many languages can you say hello in?
Sorry. Can we pop that up? Can we just go ahead and pop that on the screen? Not enough.
English. Yay. I don't know.
But let's just give Taylor's props once more. Like, I do not know how Taylor Luke comes up with the best challenges for $0 consistently. But that's what I was laughing at.
Taylor, or not Taylor. Edmund, do you have anything to say right now?
Baby, I've said all I can countless times. I choose not to waste my energy repeating myself. And as Taylor Luke said, respectively, I know she means it with love. Exactly. Thank you. Wait,
How
no,
do you
don't
feel
say
about
that.
this
Don't say that. They're gonna target me. They're gonna target me.
I'm dead. I think I would absolutely flop at this challenge. I think I would spend the time kikiing with the people in line more than actually trying the challenge. Because I barely know how to spell, let alone say hello in 21 different languages. Maddie, not too much.
I didn't say what I normally say. I'm growing.
Sure.
I don't want to offend any viewers that are from.
But we do see Cody immediately run out there. Do we think this was a good strategy? Because I mean, I think I've asked this to Taylor before, so I don't know if they were told ahead of time that they wouldn't get the right answers, like if they got one wrong. Because the way they actually did it is like you get one wrong, you go inside, you don't hear the rest. So knowing if he did know that, that is a crazy jump to just run out there.
Yeah.
I don't
Watching
know.
it, I thought it was. Oh, go ahead, Papa.
Oh, you haven't talked in a while.
Oh.
Go ahead.
The fiercely invited guest. No, for Cody to go out, I was like, oh, smart. Get all the answers, like the questions, and you know what you need to go for. You're like first in line, pretty much. So it's kind of like a guaranteed win. I was like, cool work. Get your bag. And then when he went out there and got one wrong and was like, go inside, I was like, wow. Like with the producer hat, I was like, that is so freaking smart. Like I didn't really see that coming as a viewer. I was like, oh, cool. He's just going to get all the things and go and get it. But for them to like, if you get one wrong, you have to go back in, I thought was a really smart format decision for the game development of it all. Which I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. So I think it was smart on, oh my God, what is his name?
Cody.
I was like, it's not Connor. It's the other one. Cody. I thought it was smart on his point. I mean, that's something I would do. So.
Yeah, I think for me, I probably would do the same thing. Even if I only got the first one, at least I knew the first one I had to like look for, so then I can move like on to the next ones. Because if I memorized 5 of them and it was not any of those 5, I would be so pissed. Like I was like, okay, let me just look with these. Maybe the first question will be with these. So I think it was smart because then he had more time to like try and memorize some other stuff because he already knew what the first one was going to be.
Yeah, that's true. Because I immediately said, oh, I would just run out there as soon as it starts. But if they were told, then obviously I don't think it's as good of a strategy. But something else I want to touch on, Queen Erin. So I don't know if you guys know this, but we got a little snippet of her just sitting out there and thinking and sitting some more and had her hand in her face, face in her hands, and she doesn't know the answers. Well, a little TMZ insider told us that a whole group had just given Erin all of the answers before
What?
she went out there. If you kind of seen a few shots, the line gets pretty long. So I think they just were trying to set up someone to win. And I don't know the full group. I know Dylan was in it. But they gave her all
is
of
that your
the
insider?
answers. Yeah.
Dylan, how do you feel being called out?
So sorry.
No, we can't expose our sources.
He still got paid. But yeah, so she does not get it right. But she did have all the information. She just blanked.
You know, I don't blame her because I would be the same way. I would remember the first 3 and then I'd be like, oh fuck, what were the other 2?
She remembered
And,
the
like-
last 3.
And like the pressure of everyone being like, you got it, here, all please don't look at me. But Taylor ends up winning immunity. Taylor, how do you feel winning immunity?
Feels pretty per usual.
And then Courtney ends up winning seeds. Mother, literally mother. She did her big one. Was she the first one to finish, or was it Taylor?
I think Taylor finished first.
I think
in the
Taylor finished
episode.
first. Yeah.
Sorry, here's your flowers, Taylor. I'm so sorry for
Yeah.
that. But how do we feel with them in a safe position and with seeds?
I love it.
I
I
do
love
like-
both of them.
Yeah, I do like. I think Taylor's funny. I think he adds good comedic relief. And Courtney, I like her. I met her at the wedding, and she was like, "I know you," and I was like, "Oh gosh." And she's like, "You run the podcast, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." So we got to chit chat a little bit, and she said she was extremely worried that we're gonna clown her this season. So I hope she proves us wrong.
The only one we will ever clown is Taylor Gaby.
You were supposed to say Edmund, but I
Well, the
Girl,
podcast
I've been in
wasn't
the punching bag
around.
all night.
Just wait till your season.
No comment. I'm not on a season.
Girl, it's in the name. Anyways, next.
People can't read Diva. It's not there. But
All right.
what were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about an iconic woman, but let's talk about some men who decided to group together and not vote each other out this round. We have Cody, Connor, Louis, and Daniel say, "Hey, let's watch each other's backs." What do we think about this group?
I'm always down with the men, and I will continue to say down with the men.
Diva
No divas will be down. No divas will be down. The only divas down are these men. But no, I don't know. The group was interesting, is all I'll say.
I have to say, there's a lot of hotties on this season. Yes, ma'am. I
Would you
am
like to
enjoying
name
the view.
your top suitors?
Maybe another time.
Oh.
It depends
Tell
on
us
how
who
well they
you
do at the
forgot and tell
game.
us your suitors. Please, no secrets.
I'll save it for a later podcast.
I don't know if I remember them like forming or grouping up. It sounds like. Sorry, reading this comment. Love and alpha male. I don't know if we saw them really like grouping up or like getting together. I know like a couple one-on-ones when people like the game first started and they like were first talking to each other. We saw, I think, two of them really talking. But it sounds like maybe it's in a later episode. I don't remember which one, but like people are already kind of seeing them together or like three of them together. So I don't know if it's much of a secret for them, which I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they do get called out like eventually for kind of working together, excluding Daniel. But like I feel like in such a small quarters of a house and like with the outside, like you could see there's like literally groups just standing right next to each other talking. I would never, but like I feel like throughout a lot of the conversations we saw like a lot of like especially Connor and Louis together a ton. And then Cody would just come up in like all the big group conversations with them. So I think eventually they'll get clocked, but I think right now they're just gonna be like, oh, they're being friendly and just talking to everyone.
And are Connor and Louis the photo partners?
I'm bad at
For who?
names. I think so.
Connor and Louis?
I think they
Are-
I
were.
want to say yes
think so?
because we also saw a little conversation outside with those two, where Connor is telling Louis like, "Hey, let's stick together. Let's write it out, even though we all know that we can't do it for forever, but let's write it out." How would you process that kind of conversation? Would you see it? Because Louis really like loves these games and stuff. So do you think he would just think it's like some sort of like, you know, he's just being forthcoming, or would that make you nervous?
I think for me, I'd probably respect it more because like at the beginning of the game, if you come up to me and you're like, we're taking it to the end, Mama, we got 2 full days of gameplay. Like, let's be so honest with ourselves for a minute. So like I like that he's like, yeah, like let's go as far as we can, but like eventually it might need to end. Like we're being realistic, and like at least I know for now you have me, and it's better than just saying we're good. Period.
Yeah.
It's because you're a Slytherin.
I say because
snake.
you're a nasty
You're
bitch.
not
Mom.
loyal. You're not
That's all I
loyal.
heard. That's all
I
I
mean,
heard.
I'm locked in since day one. If you go home, cool, but it won't be by my doing. When I profess my loyalty, girl, I'm loyal to the end.
Period.
I don't think
He's a
Shakira and Thomas agree.
Next.
Pinky promise.
I had them, they didn't have me.
Anyways,
I'm sorry.
jumping forward just a little bit, we have moving forward into pre-nom, just kind of discussion is Kai comes into a room, we got a little bit of a group going on, and turns to Courtney and says, "Hey girl, your bank account's looking a little full. You want to pop a squat for me?"
Eat the rich. Eat the rich.
How do you think you would respond in this situation?
It would have been on site. Like, I really just won this challenge, and now you're trying to take away my paycheck. That's rude. No, I get it from Kai's perspective. She really did not want this position at all, which we saw. And so it's just like, you already feel bad about having to probably nominate one person, let alone two. It's easier to just like get one out of the way so you can focus on the other one, especially round one when like you don't know much about these people. So she's like, I'm gonna go with you. You're getting a siege. You could use it's just like kind of a wash-ish almost. And like it's just an easy thing to go off of and try to make it as less of making an enemy as possible. She told her like way ahead of time, which is smart on her point. Like Courtney knew for probably 40 minutes she was about to go up. So I mean, I think in Kai's position was the best way she could have do it. In Courtney's position, if it's gonna happen, probably the best way for it to happen. Like it is what it is.
Do you think she said yes too soon?
No.
No.
I feel like
I think it was another like I'm thinking out loud in the moment. I thought it was interesting that Kai sat her in a group of like 6 people to tell her that I think is the important part, which whether it was intentional or not, it's like, what is Courtney gonna say? Like she can't really, it's hard to like wheel and deal your way out of that situation in front of like, well, why don't you nominate this person across from me instead? Like, what are you gonna do?
Especially since it's Courtney's first game. So like she also just wants to probably not cause any rifts right away, to where them saying, well, you already have seeds, so you'll be safe anyways. To her, that seems like, okay, true. So then that way we're both good. Yeah. But in the end, it's kind of screwing Courtney because then she has to get rid of her 3 seeds.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people like to pull their like potential nominee and like pawn into a private room and are like, I'm gonna put you up, like I'm sorry. And I kind of liked Kai's approach because she like didn't give Courtney an option, like she did, but she was just like, deal with it. Like it's in this whole group of people. What are you gonna do? Fight it? Because I think it added the layer of like everyone being like, yeah, you're good. So then she felt like even more pressure. So good on Kai for that.
So sorry.
Taylor, are you done typing your essay?
Well, if Papa didn't make name errors, I wouldn't be typing an essay to the private chat.
Oh,
whoa.
I was like, girl, what? Listen, diva context clue.
But anyways,
moving on. Trinity asked JP, finally, this is your little Trinity and JP moment, who JP would want to see up. And this is one of 1,000 conversations we have seen and heard about the lawyers and all the lawyers and how much they know each other and are besties. Seth, Courtney, and Daniel. Taylor, as a fellow lawyer, how do you feel when your lawyer sisters are called out?
I personally think it's lame. When I played, it was something I was nervous to say, but also I had played games before, so I felt like I had to be so forthcoming with that information. And I could also still play it off like I was still a law student, so I wasn't as like threatening, I guess. But I don't know. In a game where like people might not know you, I don't know if I would say it. I think it's kind of stupid that people go off of your career. When I was on Dylan's stream, we were talking about how any career you could have a reason to go after them. But people consistently like tend to go after like lawyers and other types of, there are like certain professions I feel like get targeted more. But yeah, I think it's kind of lame. But like, what do people have to go off of? I think they should have just went off of like, well, I don't know. I guess I didn't know that they had all went to school together at this point.
Yeah, it was just like they're lawyers.
Yeah.
Which is so dumb. Like, girl, aren't you like, isn't someone like a psychologist or something? And like, why are you calling out the lawyers? Like, you're next on the list. If we're going through the list of like professions that get targeted, you're next. Like,
That's
yeah,
like
it is
on
JP.
them.
It is JP.
Yeah.
I think he does.
I don't want them coming for me in my job. Go for their job.
I also
I
thought
don't
it was
know, make it make sense.
interesting that Erin kind of like rode that boat a little bit. Like she was like, oh yeah, like the lawyers, because she's a doctor, but I don't know if anyone knows that she's a doctor. So I think it's just funny that she's like, yeah, we got to get them out. Like, sis, you would be next if anyone knew, but it was just funny. But
Edmund, any thoughts?
Down with the lawyers.
Oh,
Girl.
okay. So we kind of saw it in the greenhouse, like flower picking ceremony, but then we see it more kind of in group discussions, where they talk about making the Rose nomination the target for elimination. Personally, I think that's dumb. I've preached it on this podcast for the like 2.5 seasons we've been on here now. Just because you get a single seed from the Sunflower nomination does not make you anything special. It does not make you anything crazy. And you could still put a target up there because what is your one seed going to do? So do you think it's just like an easy thing to push right away? Like if we put up the Rose nom and target them, they're just like on the outs anyways. Like, I guess, how did you feel when you played?
which one?
Why don't you let us know?
I haven't played. I haven't played.
I don't know.
It wasn't a super big thing, honestly, since I was season 3. So I feel like the strategy was still developing, just as a game as a whole. So I don't think people had really been, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, yeah, meta greenhouse strategy. Like, I feel like people weren't thinking super outside of the box yet in terms of that. I mean, sometimes people were like, okay, will you nominate me for a seed? I think I used that excuse a couple times. But it wasn't super big. Like, it wasn't a super big thing.
So Dylan says that when it was brought up, he thinks it was more to protect Trinity and less about specifically her Rose position. But they did always say, like, let's protect the Rose, let's protect the Rose. Because I was also thinking, like, what is so special about the Rose's nom? If I was Sunflower, like, can we please get one of my 2 noms out instead of your just one? So I also thought it was a little bit weird, but what Dylan says makes sense. That they were just trying to protect Trinity, which, like, why though? Like, I don't know. Just, I wonder if it's from, like, a social standpoint, rather than more than, like, oh, she has the Rose. So I don't know. But yes.
Sorry, I just got some great news.
You're pregnant?
Yes. My sister
Also,
is. I'm going to be a uncle. Sorry, I'm like derailing this right now.
Also talking about the Rose's nom, I think it was Connor suggesting that nominees be made by a dice roll.
Oh,
That was so funny.
the D20, bring her out. I'm gonna leave my number off. Oh, thanks.
It's giving like in Big Brother when they like pulled Skittles or whatever for noms the one season. I forget when it was.
Yes.
But then they like rigged the Skittle like pull anyways. So
And I would too.
It's giving very that energy because you're gonna roll the die and then you're gonna be like, roll again. That was a practice one.
Right. Because if it did land me, I'd be like, fuck no, we're not doing that. Yeah,
No,
let's
I
do
don't.
it.
That would almost feel worse than someone just like picking me for some stupid reason.
Right.
Like, I would
Because-
rather you just be like, I don't know, you're wearing a duck sweater and I'm terrified of ducks. Like, I would be like, that's dumb, but whatever. I would rather that than like, oh, number 8 showed up. Like, that would.
See,
Come
the thing is
on.
also, like, if you really want to get nasty, even if they use a dumb reason, you can find a way to turn it back onto them for something else.
Yeah.
You can't just
Right.
be like, oh, it was a dice roll, it was a luck of the draw. If they say that your sweater is hideous, Maddie, then you can just say they're a terrible person because they don't like good
Have
fashion.
no taste.
Yeah. Or something like that. You know what I mean? So,
For
like,
real.
there's always a way to turn something like that around, even if it's just a
True.
stupid, baseless, like,
Yeah.
reason. So I'd much rather do that than like a luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Okay. So outside of noms, we also are seeing some strategy from the other players while they're just kind of trying to figure out what the fuck to do. Specifically, we see Dylan putting in some work with a duo of Connor and Louie trying to pull something together to form a trio. Do we like this trio? What are our
Baby,
thoughts?
Dylan's legs were open this round. Every which way, Dylan was getting pulled, and you know what? But Dylan was doing really good because Dylan was able to flip up his tone and his, like, how he was speaking based on who he was around. I think Dylan had great social awareness about what to say in front of who and when to say certain things to certain people. So I think Dylan kind of murdered this round. I'm not gonna lie.
He was almost gentle parenting whatever group he was with to meet whatever needs they had. And so I think Dylan was doing a really good job of like just kind of knowing what to say and when to say it. But I kind of liked the group. I thought it was kind of cute. Oh, go ahead.
We were talking about the Dylan, Connor, Louis. Sorry, I have the same thing that Edmund was just looking at too. Yeah, Dylan, honestly, I love him. He be putting in the work. I don't know what that group. I loved that group, but I like other groups that Dylan is trying to work his way in that we'll talk about later.
Respectfully, I liked it because it has 2 of my draft members on it. So
That's the only reason why you like
a little
it.
biased.
I just don't know how real it is, so I don't know that I have like a strong opinion. I wouldn't have said what Edmund said, but yes, Dylan was going around talking nicely to everybody and trying to form those social connections, which I respect as a player. So yeah, I don't know if it's like, I don't know that I know for sure like where Dylan really sees himself
For
like
sure.
locking into a group yet. I thought it was more just like, oh my God, yes, love love this group. Like, let's connect, share info. Like, I think it was a little more like for self-interest, which I don't hate on. So
I think that's why I'm not like, I'm going to root so hard for this group because I
Yeah.
feel like Dylan's just trying to play a fluid game depending on which way the power pendulum swings. So I think Dylan's in a good position right now.
And to be fair, Dylan did soon after start throwing out Cody's name.
Yeah, which is so interesting.
Keeping us on our toes, Dylan. And then one more thing about Cody is, so Cody says that he knows Kai outside this game. I can't remember exactly how they know each other, but do we think that we're going to see that pre-existing connection kind of come up?
Maybe. Did he just say that like
used?
Did he just say that like Kai knows these games? Is that the right thing I'm thinking of?
No, Cody had a confessional outside, and he was like,
Rooster
like
T.
the lawyers like know each other or something. But the only person I know here is Kai. But he didn't say how, and I want to know how, because like that'll really show how deep their connection. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Where is Crystal and why is she not on the season? That's what I wanted to ask. We love Crystal.
Your contact, please.
Sorry to derail. Well, that's cool. So maybe he just knows her from like a certain sector of the gaming world.
I don't think they're gonna work together. They probably heard from Dilemma what happened with all their girlies that all worked together, and they said maybe let's just stay away. Let's just not even interact. Let's act like we don't know each other, and that'll be best. Because like, did we ever see them like interact one-on-one?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So maybe that is their strategy: stay away for a bit, and then come back together.
They're
and
just like giving the eye across the room. Like, we'll compare notes later.
Because we haven't heard their names come from each other's mouths or anything either. So it might be something that comes up later.
A note for the future.
You know, we didn't get Crystal on the show, either playing or an exit interview, but something we did get about every 30 seconds was a clip of Connor doing a headstand.
Nice transition. That was good.
That's why she's running the gig.
What were your thoughts? Do you think it kind of formed like your thoughts on like who you thought might be going home because we were getting so much content? Or do you think Taylor was just having the time of his life editing and being like, I could put it right here?
You know, I love the little pop-up every time. The editing is evolving every season.
Every season.
And again, I think Connor provides some comedic relief because I feel like he's kind of neurotic. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Like, I don't even know what that word means. I don't even know what that word means.
Manic, psychotic.
Like, kind of like he's just out there where I feel like everyone... Like he has a unique point of view, which works for him compared to everyone else trying to play the same type of game. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
That's actually crazy. Moving on. Connor,
I don't know what I'm saying.
I think Connor does play differently than like he's very forthcoming. He's like gonna call it like it is. He's like he comes and plays with a different energy than I think most people do. And it's it's not one that I'm like afraid to play with that kind of energy. It's like, so kudos to him. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, this is what it is. Like, he was like, this is my position. So like, are we gonna pull seeds or not? Like, we could throw 7 seeds on Uproot if we want to. Like, let's get something going. Like, he's very like, let's play the game. Sure. Like, are you with me? You're not. Like, let me get my people. Wherever, like you said, everyone else is kind of like, yeah, I like you too. Like, it's just it's a different energy and a different vibe and a way of playing. So it is a unique perspective that I think is nice to have. So you don't just have everyone like in rooms like, we're good. I like you too.
Okay, I
think that's what you're trying to say.
That was definitely not the word I was trying to say.
I don't think
I just Googled it. So I'm taking that back. Yes, he just very much has his own play style where I feel like some people are trying to figure out. Also, like Connor's kind of more experienced than some of these people, to where he probably has kind of figured out how to tune that kind of play style, because it can come off kind of messy to some people who are experienced, you know what I mean? Or even just kind of too out there for people who are new. To where they're still trying to find their bearings. So I don't know. Connor escaped this first banishment. Sorry for the spoiler, but
it's like your 4th one.
I think Connor's gonna be someone fun to watch for sure.
The clip coming in reminds me of a Flavor of Love hottie bicycle blinks. I just hope I think the editors need to keep up with it all season long. I think they have to.
For sure. Something else that Connor also did. So we kind of saw him forming that group of 4, but then he tells Stephanie, hey, I have this group of 4 and I want to pull you in as number 5. Like he kind of specifically words it like that. What are our thoughts?
If you tell me I'm number 5, bring me into the Lions. Yeah. And then those four
Oop.
going to everyone else. I see these four talking a lot.
For sure.
But props to Stephanie, because Stephanie has been playing super well as well. Like Stephanie has been kind of like Dylan, being dragged between every group, and then she's kind of switching her tune based on who she's around. But Stephanie, she's unique in that I feel like Dylan is doing more like nodding and smiling, to where I feel like Stephanie is more like telling them to their face, like, well, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Dylan's more agreeable with certain things just to like build rapport and trust, to where I feel like Stephanie is going to build trust by being more outrightly honest.
Right. So we kind of have like an early, sorry, did you want to say one more thing?
No, it's so funny though. When I saw that clip of Connor and Stephanie having that conversation, I think I texted Papa. It was like, Stephanie's body language could not get further away from this conversation. She was arms crossed, like leaning away from him in that chair. So, but she was like, yeah, I'll think about it. Like it was.
She handled it really well.
It was, yeah, she did. It was smart. But I think Edmund's right. Knowing Stephanie, love her to death. I think that is her play style, and like it works well. She is like, I told this person I'm gonna vote for them, so I'm going to. Like I already like did that. Like, or she's like, she'll tell you I'm not gonna do that. I don't like that idea. But like if you need to, that works for you. Like, and she genuinely means like if you need to vote another way, like I'm not gonna think twice about it. Like we can still work together. It's very different. So I'm excited to, I think she's in a great spot. I think people realize she is being, kind of real and forthcoming and honest with her thoughts. So I hope she does well.
Same, but it's kind of funny because she does end up flipping at the last second.
I was so shocked.
Then, yeah, but then kind of contradicting myself, Dylan was the one to tell Daniel, like, Stephanie's not on your side, girl. So it's an interesting watch, that's for sure. But I feel like Dylan's gonna be better at dropping little seeds like that when he needs to get other people to flip down the line. He's just saving his little packet of seeds in his back pocket.
I think Dylan did a. Oh, sorry, I thought you were done, sis.
No, I am.
I think Dylan did a really good job of like whoever he was talking to. I think he was giving like honest advice of like, this is what I think would be best for you in this moment. Which is smart, I think, especially round one. Like maybe that's a way to gain more allies. So I think him probably more than anyone is building the most connections across the entire cast. So we'll see if I don't know if he's gonna get caught or not, but we'll see.
Sorry, I'm like kind of back. I have to dip again for a second in a minute. But we talked about Stephanie and Dylan, right? Because I want to touch on both of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Stephanie, love her. Diva is gonna go far because you could tell just from this round, everyone A loves her or B doesn't want to target her, just like in association of like how they talked about like the power of the greenhouse members. And then Dylan, I know I have this later in the notes, but we were talking about him giving little bits and pieces and being honest to people and whatnot. Dylan's a schemer. I love my good sis Dylan, but he is already stirring the pot. Oh my God. I'm ready because like Dylan is the type of person that like gives you just enough so you believe it, and then we'll sprinkle in some extra so then you're like mad. And like that's what I love to do. So I'm excited that like Dylan's doing it. And I think this cast is gonna eat it up.
Oh, for sure. And Dylan's gonna soak up any chance with the camera that he can. But anyway, so the target kind of started on the lawyers, and then Connor's name gets thrown in there. Well, so we start with Courtney and then the lawyers, and then Connor's name gets thrown in there. Somehow Seth's name escapes all of this, and our three nominees are Connor, Courtney, and Daniel. Right away, when we get into the auction period, we see Courtney bidding 3 seats on Uproot. I think we kind of expected this. But then we see Mackenzie and Connor talking about, hey, what if we pool some of our seats together and take Uproot ourselves? Thoughts? Definitely.
I think it's hilarious that like Connor is in the room with Mackenzie and Daniel, and they're like, "Hey, sisters, like let's do our big one and like uproot more." And Connor was like, "I could get 6." Like that was crazy. Like, and Mackenzie like was just sitting in the background, like, "You go, babe, you got this." Like, but like, I think it was a bold strategy to do right away. I was really intrigued by it, but I think Connor is that type of player that like will do the bold things and it works. And I think especially in a game where like a lot of people don't play a ton of games, you could pull off more of those risky moves. I just want to see Connor not try to immediately rely on getting Mackenzie's seeds for an uproot. Because like I love that you have your partner in the game, cool, whatever. But let's not run straight to them when we're on the block.
Yeah. And so
a first round, I probably would have done the same.
Yeah, I mean, round 1.
Do you want to ride home? Give me the
Yeah.
seats. No, I think it was interesting because I feel like it really would have. I don't know. I think it was kind of a house consensus that like Courtney was going to be good. So I think even if they did that, which everyone stayed up, I think would have had like 0 chance of staying. Yeah. So it would have been a really interesting dynamic to figure out like, well, who are we going to take down? And they both are already like, which I would have too, like, well, I think I'm going to get more votes to go. Like, no, I think I'm going to get more votes to go. Like, I get the thought process. Realistically, I don't think it would have been as easy to pull off. And again, like, no matter who would have stayed up there, I think Courtney would have been safe. So
yeah, that's why I thought it was
like
interesting to have the conversation with Daniel in there.
Yeah.
Like, of all people, because if I was Daniel and I was hearing them talk about getting Connor uproot, I would like go to Courtney and be like, hey, like I'll help. I'd rather help Courtney if I was Daniel than help Connor.
Yep.
So.
But also I wish Courtney kind of realized she didn't need to use him, and saved him. And then she would have had more ammo for rounds coming out.
I think she would have had to use them, but if someone outbid her, I think it would have been fine. But I don't think she could have just not bid for it at all, because some people will be like, "Oh, you're comfy, huh?"
I think too, like, people were telling her. I think because people were saying like, "Well, this also like now you won't be as much of a target next round." Like, I think people just want to like get rid of the seat. Like, I don't know. I think for a first round to be like, well, screw you anyways. Like, I think it's just hard, and to like be new into this game and you don't want to be first boot. I get her side of it. I don't think she needed him either. I think no matter what, she would have been totally fine. But I think she is trying to just like be calm, not make too many waves. Like everyone's, like seems to like her. I think she's just trying to like get her footing and go with the flow.
Yeah. And then after the conversation Connor has with Mackenzie and Daniel, Connor and Dylan have a conversation where Connor says pretty confidently, I got friends, bro. I got 6 seeds. All right. What would you guys do if you were Dylan?
Back to what I said about Connor before. I think this was a prime example of it. Because, girl, what are you talking about?
Dylan's like, are you sure? You already have them?
6?
Can I see them?
6 is crazy. 6 is crazy.
That's a lot.
I only had 4, so like, how'd you get 6?
And like, he kept saying it, and then Dylan kept like looking at his cup. Dylan was just like, you got him in there already? Like, he's like, you want to shake the cup a little so I can hear him? I'm sorry, if someone came into the room round 1 and said, give me more seeds, I already have 6, go bid your 5 and come back.
Yeah, which like I think Dylan pointed out, he's like, if you have 6, why do you need a 7th? Like, there's barely 7 total seats in the game. Like, so if he was like, I have 4, but I need a 5th to guarantee I outbid some, like that would have been a little maybe believable. But yeah, that was a lot. It was a lot.
I mean, Dylan handled it well. I mean, he was like, yeah, like I got you. Like, I'll give you a seed. I was a little surprised that Dylan did offer to give a seed. I
You
would
know that
never.
man was bullshitting.
But
You know that
I
man
know
was
he
like,
was bullshitting, but he for sure. But I could not imagine Connor coming up to me like, "Hey, you told me you give me my 7th seed."
I would walk in with him and help him place the 7th seed on the pile if he was doing that. Round 1 is crazy.
Round 1 is crazy. All right, let's fast forward to the star of the show, Seth. Seth makes one comment, and it is something along the lines of, Daniel and I went to law school together. I'm not voting him, which progressed into, we went to law school together. I'm never voting him. And that shit spread like wildfire.
Well, and that progressed to he's my twin and we're attached at the hip.
Yes.
I think that's first issue from that was he did it in a group of like 8 people outside. Like, first off, why would you do that?
He said, I'm just gonna be real. Something like that. And it was a lot of people to say in front of. And he had made the comment in like the little like awning area too about being in school together and probably not voting him. But this conversation, I forget who all was out there. We all know Kai was. She said, not on my watch. Oh, and then I wish we could just pull up the clip of, was it Courtney, Seth, and her in a room? And Seth's like, yeah, like I think he thought it was JP. Maybe he thought someone had said it, and she was like,
Yeah.
Well, no, because he
was.
said to Courtney, he said the only person I told it to was Cody.
Cody.
And Kai was like, I was like,
And
And
then
he
and
looked
then
at
kind of like
her.
looks
and then the Sean or the Seth
He looked like
the
what?
Seth that
Like,
tilt, and then she's like,
And then she
oh
did
my
it again.
She's such a diva.
Which I also thought was crazy because, like, did they know at the time that Courtney was also involved in that or no? Maybe I'm remembering wrong. If they knew that Courtney was a part of that like trio at the time, that's even like crazier to
like
be
Kai
like.
was like, I'm spreading that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is funny. No, Kai was so giving this episode. She said, I'm running this shit. And she did.
Okay, they did know. Yeah. Like to also be like, no, girl, it was me. He was a mess. And now you're going down on the Titanic with him is like wild. But it was so funny to watch as a viewer. I love the little like side things to the camera or like the little behind the scene thing. It's not behind the scenes, but like
breaking the
Kai
fourth wall.
Kai being
Yeah.
like, girl, like
Dylan, take notes.
No, I love it. That was so funny though. I feel so bad. It's another like newbie, newer person to games. Just like, I was just being honest. I was trying to be nice, and everyone else is like, that's not what you're supposed to do here. So I feel bad. I think like there was already that group, that like outside group we kept seeing the 5 or whatever of like Connor, Mackenzie, JP, Kai, like that kept talking. They were like newbie, sorry, Seth. But they were already, I think, wanting some sort of excuse to try and save Connor because he was in their little posse outside. So hearing that, it was just like, boom, easy explosion. Like, this is what we needed. Start spreading. Mackenzie's like putting her ponytail tighter. She's like, I'm going to work. She was like ready to go. It was so funny.
Yeah, the group
I
that
feel
was
sleep on our girl Mackenzie.
no
That's
here.
all.
So the group, before y'all jump in, the group who's really pushing for the lawyers was Connor, JP, Trinity, Mackenzie, Kai, and Louie. So.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think we haven't talked a lot about Mother Mackenzie, but I feel like she's like a sleeper. Like she, not even a sleeper. She just like comes
Don't
in,
do her like
does
that.
her big one, and then dips right back out, and then is working on her bonds. Because I feel like every time we see her, it's like one-on-one conversations, like one and like 2 people, like 1 or 2 people, and she's putting in the work. And I feel like she's setting herself up for the long run, and she's like leading the conversations with people to get the target switched. She's one to watch. She is one to watch.
I think it's
She's so
because
good.
Mackenzie's a gamer, but she doesn't have the stigma that she's a gamer or like a veteran.
Mhm.
So she's able to blend in really well.
Yeah, I
For
think
sure.
I thought that she was like gonna like lead conversations right away, kind of based on her opening, and then we see her like sitting back and listening and just like being the diva that she is, like doing really well. And then this most recent episode, she really was like sprinkling some like seeds in there too, because even when they were in one of the groups and they were like scrambling like, hey, what should we do with Connor? Should we be worried about the trio that Connor's in? And she's like, oh no, like, and she said it so casually, and like no one even second guessed it at this point. So I will give Mackenzie her props, because I do think she put in work this episode, but I don't think it's going to come to bite her for a while. So do we have any other thoughts on Mackenzie?
No, I agree with everything. I'm excited to see her trajectory because I think she's set up super well. The way she's playing it, she's able to like you said, sit back, observe. She's being pulled into groups. I think everyone's like comfortable talking to her. And then when she like needs to step up and do a little moment, she does. And then she pulls right back and she's not getting clocked for it. So I think she has the ability to go super, super far and be a part of like a power group or power decisions or whatever that's going to make a big impact on how this season turns out.
Right. So basically we started with such a clear-cut vote on Connor, with Courtney getting the uproot. Seth does his big one. It turns the house upside down. And now Daniel has figured out that he is not sitting as pretty as he thought he might be.
Well, I would like to point out that Daniel did say before nominations that just because everyone's targeting Connor doesn't mean that like he is not a target.
Right.
Which like great for reading the room that the final nominees are going to be you and Connor, but like I think he was like well aware that like it could flip like immediately on him, like if like just something changed, and that something did change. His bestie from law school,
Right.
Brother,
twin,
blood relative.
But then we just kind of see him putting in work, and I will give it to Daniel. He seriously made his rounds, and I really don't know what else Daniel could have done. At that point, like he tried to work everyone, and I really like thought he was going to be able to sway it back in his favor. But I think it really came down to what Stephanie was going to do, Stephanie and Dylan, because he was right. Those are the people he needed to flip. And they also respectfully, like, to make that big flip back, I think that them being safe with this was the right thing to do for their games. As much as it breaks my heart seeing Dylan just like giving it all and just no one's really biting.
Was Dylan giving it his all to save Daniel?
Or sorry, I was saying Daniel was giving it all.
Oh.
Dylan was not, no, but I thought
I was gonna say.
I was like, that was.
I was like, she's living in her delusional fantasy again. Dylan's trying.
Dylan's putting in work, but Dylan just fucking kicked him. Like Daniel's already on the ground. He just like curb stomped him and was like, "No, you're done." But no, I think
he was like acting like he'd be like, "Yeah, like definitely, like if Stephanie like doesn't want to block my vote, like I'll definitely like vote." And then he runs to Stephanie, block my vote. Yeah, keep it
blocked. I think my vote is getting blocked. Sorry, I can't do anything.
But Dylan did make a good point of why would we block Seth's vote when that's just another vote for them later on, like, and we could just use the votes that we have if you just block us for later.
Yeah,
which is like not talked about a lot.
That's probably one of my favorite strategy moments, was like those two in the room and they were just like trying to be like, all right, like what the fuck are we gonna do? Because we could go either way. And they're like, we're gonna do this for X, Y, and Z. Plus, why would we give seats to people we don't want to work with? Yeah. And so I think they just like all the stars aligned for them in that moment, and they were just like, this is what we're doing.
And I think another like good note to put, which I don't remember like happening much in past seasons I've watched, was Connor trying to get Stephanie to block a vote by giving her a seed. I feel like that's not really done a ton. I feel like seeds are given for safety and like don't put me up, but I don't think I've ever seen people directly be like, I'll give you a seed if you block this person so like I could stay. I think it was a good twist on the strategy of it all. And I think it just goes to show that as more gamers come to play, not that the people that like live near Taylor and are all his friends are not gamers, but as more of the seasoned veteran gamers come to play, you get more of that like in-depth strategy that you wouldn't necessarily get right away.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen that before. I mean, season 3 love to like share seeds to prove their alliance-ship, whatever the fuck they said. But I don't think that we have seen it as much to block a vote. But it's like, it's smart. I mean, I would just be like, all right, I won't take the blocked vote. I'll just vote someone out. But it is smart, like, for him to do that because it's like, I could get a banked vote out of this, which would be a seed in the end game.
Yeah. So I think the last thing before the banishment, Dylan kind of has this little one-off with the camera where he's just like, that flipped so quickly. And I think Dylan is probably the most aware of every little thing that is happening right now. Every little group, every like, even if it's not an alliance, he's like, okay, like these people are talking a bunch. So I'm really excited to see what Dylan does with that information, because just because you have it doesn't mean that it's going to work out for you. And I think if anyone has that good of information and can use it to their advantage, it would be Dylan.
Yeah, it was so smart to pick up on, especially for a first round when like usually it's kind of just like this person's a little quiet. Like usually that's what it is. But for it to be like, oh, this is a thing, and it caught on so fast and just like ablaze. Sorry to California right now. Like just like I didn't want to say it, but like it's the phrase.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
We'll cut that out.
The podcast is
canceled. We are literally going to cancel the first episode.
I'm sorry. We're with you. We stand with you. Everyone stay safe and find safety. But it just caught on so fast. And for him to pick up on that is so smart. And I hope we see that thought process in like the next episode, or like it get revisited at some point of like, how did it happen that fast?
Those yappers, girl, I told you about it.
They get the
those yappers. They just be talking out their ass. No, I think it was really something easy to just kind of jump on for the first round because it took so long to find reasoning for nominees, to where finally they had a reason, to where I just feel like it kind of snowballed, and it was just the easiest thing to kind of do to keep the peace in the house, as they would say. So we go into the banishment. I fear Daniel kind of has like a Michael Brunner moment.
Oh, so wait, good. You have to give Queen Courtney her flowers. She uprooted. Don't forget Mother Courtney.
Courtney wins the uproot and uproots herself. Courtney is now safe from the banishment. Fiercely.
That's like 4 powers for only women this season.
True that. True that. Clean sweep from the woman, round 1.
Clean sweep.
That's good. And then we have our final nominees, which are Connor and Daniel. Daniel kind of calls it out during his last minute plea. Matthew, I know you had something to say about that.
Yeah, so I think it was very funny because at the same exact time, me and Edmund both come off mute, and at the same exact point say, it's giving very lawyer, it's giving closing argument, it's giving the defense rests your honor, thank you very much. It was honestly a great first speech. You know, normally first speeches are like, you know, I've really enjoyed the game so far, like please keep me, we don't have much to talk about. Maybe Daniel said, here are the facts, this is why you should convict them, thank you very much.
Yeah, if anything, he's definitely getting a client or two after they watch this episode, and good for him.
No, I do love that he popped off at the end. I think he maybe should have like laid it on Connor a little bit more, like about why Connor was more threatening versus like some of the voters. But I do like that he called it out because I do think that people are going to bring it back up in the future. Like, what is this trio? So I think that there will be some impact there. And he did his best. Like he seriously like was fighting till the very end.
Mm-hmm. So before we get into the banishment vote, I do want to talk about a couple voting confessionals that I thought. One in particular that stood out to me was Taylor saying that he wanted to save Connor because he enjoyed looking at him. Or I forget the word, what the verbiage was. Did I use that word correctly?
Better than the last one.
I don't remember the correct quote.
There we go.
Quote me on it if you do. So that was kind of funny. That was a cute little voting confession.
Edmund, is that how you played season 3?
Huh?
Is that how you played season 3?
What?
By voting out or keeping all the people in that are good to look at.
My entire cast was good looking. What do you mean?
Okay, Miss Congeniality's gone. You don't have to lie.
She's prepping for AS too.
I always have a showmance.
Daniel is banished 6-2. Rest in peace, sister. Gone but never forgotten. How do we think this is gonna fare for Courtney and Seth, because they both voted to keep Daniel, and with 2 votes, everyone's gonna know it's them.
Well, I guess I like completely forgot Courtney was part of the lawyers because I was like, she really did a big one by throwing that vote. And I was like, it's giving me, I love her even more. But yeah, I think everyone will assume it was her. So.
I think Courtney will be I think Seth is dead in the water. I think he's just like, I feel so bad, but I feel like everyone's just gonna be like, they're already like, I don't know, because I guess Kai was like,
yeah,
I fuck with you, but like shut the hell up. Like, so maybe she's gonna try to like use that as some sort of ally now, but I feel like, didn't someone even say like, I wish Seth was on the block instead of Daniel? Like, I felt so bad. He was just trying to be nice and honest, and everyone pounced on him. So I don't know if like he's going to be in danger. I think it will help Courtney in the fact that I think everyone loves her, and she's just like so sweet. You just like can't think she can do anything wrong. And she's just going to be like, I don't know. It's just like trying to give a vote to a friend. Like, I felt bad. Like, if she can totally easily play it off like that if she does. So I think she'll be okay. I feel like whatever you expected the 2 votes from them, not a big deal. They're a little less threatening because they're not like a trio now, and like maybe people will focus on the other trio. It might be like a back and forth for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I could see Seth starting to kind of get mentored maybe into how to play the game. But again, the yappers, and I think Dylan even said it in one of the conversations. I don't know if it was Dylan. I forget who it was, but they had a conversation in one of the upstairs bedrooms, and they were like, these people don't know what they're doing. They'll just take any reason and roll with it, even if it's the smallest reason. So literally, if we have any small reason, they'll just be like, okay. Because they're just kind of naive to the strategy of it all.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, is like, yeah, Seth isn't in an amazing spot right now, but this cast, especially with all the new people, are going to jump on any little thing. So now that the lawyers aren't as threatening, I could see them looking at the trio that Daniel threw out or something else. I think that especially if Kai takes and scoops Seth up under her wing, I don't necessarily think that he's going to be seen as threatening, because I think even though there are other new players, I think people will also see that Seth isn't being as schemy or strategic as some of the other players.
Yeah. Alrighty, so how do we feel about Daniel being the first banished player from the Greenhouse season 7?
Season's canceled.
Rest in peace. But Glad it wasn't Courtney, even though she had the seeds to buy herself off the block. That's mother.
So you would have been fine if it was Connor.
Down with the men. I said it earlier. Down with the men again.
I thought you were behind the men.
Down with the men.
And Edmund's
Okay.
under the men. Well, I was gonna say, I felt really bad, mostly because it like wasn't his fault. Like it feels really shitty to be like, oh, someone else said something, and the way it was so innocent. Like, I don't know. I felt really bad for him. Not to say that I like wanted Connor to go home. I didn't. I think I was a little more like, I'd rather see Connor go just because he is in this relationship. And I just think it would have been interesting to like not have that dynamic and see like how Mackenzie would have handled it. Like, oh my God, like, I think she would have been totally fine, but just to like not expect your partner to go first round and they do, like, I don't know. Plus we had a couple last season. So I don't know. I think that was the only reason. Like it could have been two other people. Not that I was like, ew, Connor. That's not what it was. But that was really the only reason.
And Maddie, I don't know if you know this, but Daniel actually has helped film before. So like he helped film my season.
Oh,
and
that
so
makes
like
it worse.
yeah, I know. That's why like I was so sad because Daniel
my
was like
heart is
filming my camera,
shattered.
like has helped the series. Finally gets his shot, and it's just like a crapshoot like thing. Like I think Daniel easily could go far in another season, and then like the cards were just not in his favor this time.
Sometimes it's how it goes. That's even worse. I feel so bad.
Taylor's
Yeah,
speech before doing it. Do you think Daniel knew?
Probably. I
Very.
think Daniel knew before even sitting on the block for the
Yeah.
final noms. Yeah, I met Daniel at Taylor's wedding. He was super cool. I had no idea he even played or knew what any of this world was because it was a mixed batch. Because people were just like, "Oh, you're one of the people that plays Taylor's games." So Daniel was super cool. I was excited to watch him. So I hate to watch his time get cut short.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Speaking of cutting short, we're gonna do very quick wrap-ups with MVPs because I know a lot of us are going to watch the same show in 2 minutes. Taylor, MVP for the week.
You guys are gonna think that like I'm just saying this person because it's this person, but I'm gonna give Dylan his flowers. I think Dylan did run the round. And similar to the draft, he has a gun to my head, like right off camera.
Work. Maddie, MVP.
Is this like of all 3 episodes?
Of the round.
First
We'll
round,
save the full
yeah.
round.
First round?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the first round. Oof. I think my episode 1 was Courtney. My episode 2 is Dylan. Right now, I'm going to say Aaron. I think Aaron's in a really great spot.
Thank you.
I think she's super observant.
Not in the camera.
No one. And that's fine.
I told Papa this, and he was fighting me on it. I said,
I think Aaron, yeah. Why are you hating
Well,
on
I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm not
Aaron?
hating on her. I'm just saying, step into the camera. All her picture was there the whole time.
She doesn't need to.
That's not true. You need to go rewatch.
Did you watch the
I
first
think-
challenge?
Yeah, I think Aaron, under the radar queen. Exactly. I think Aaron is like, she's so smart. She knows what she's doing. She is slowly making those connections. I don't think anyone's looking at her in sort of any threatening way. She's going to be able to work herself into connections and bonds. I'm giving it to Aaron, and I'm even happier that I did because you're such a hater.
No, I've watched Erin play Survivor Rocky Road, and she did very well in that. So I know she has what it takes, and she knows what she's doing. I feel like she's kind of taking the Mackenzie approach to kind of sit back and observe, and then figure out what she needs to do to get farther. As far as my MVP, I will say Dylan, but since Taylor already said Dylan, I will say our good sis Stephanie. I think she won.
He stole my pick.
Matthew, sit your hater ass
I
down.
hate on more women.
He stole my pick. That was my pick.
Yeah,
trying
because
to
when
with
Taylor,
the fourth
because when
one.
Taylor said Dylan, it was all and now Aaron and Stephanie hit.
No, I'm mad because you stole my
Yeah.
pick. I was like, okay, Dylan's not my pick, but he's a good one.
I'm gonna say
Next.
Stephanie because she won the first competition, perfect score. No one's really pissed off at her. She didn't really have to lie much or do much deceiving. And I think she's coming out of this round in a pretty good position. And she had the power to have all the conversations to insulate herself socially.
Agreed.
If I can't say Dylan or Stephanie,
Girl, you
I
picked
will-
Seth after episode 1. We saw how that turned out.
I will
Love you,
pick
Seth.
Mackenzie. I will pick Mackenzie. I think she's setting herself up perfectly. And I think even if she gets in power later and she makes a big move, no one will care. And they'll be like, Mother, you did your big one. Let's take you to the end so you could win.
He picked Mackenzie to beat the women-hating allegation.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
His PR team was in his ear.
Because all pod has been woman hating. So.
I noticed how Taylor chose a man. She's never beating those women-hating allegations.
I've never tried to.
Okay. Thank you all so much for
I will
coming.
say, all good picks. That was it.
Anything else from the other two divas before I do the closing?
Thank you, Maddie, our fiercely invited guest, so much for joining us. This is our first round recap for the Greenhouse Season 7. We will be here every week to continue to recap the Greenhouse Season 7 with our main panel of judges, Matthew Papa, Taylor Gaby, and Edmund Petrus. And we will have some more fiercely invited guests to join us in the future.
Where's the link?
Thank you guys for
all.
joining us.
Oh, I didn't have the link. I didn't have the link ready. Next time, I love you all.
Make sure you go to Taylor Luke's YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and tune into the Greenhouse Season 7. And we will see you guys next week for an all-new recap. Everyone enjoy Drag Race and